Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Zeno here, and today I'm going to be talking about the Deadeye Self-Caster Magma Orb build. So I'll do a map today for sure, and I'm going to do this right away in the beginning. I'm going to explain the TLDR of this build is Tailwind plus level 30 Spell Echo. That is the idea behind this build, and to stack as much cast speed as I can. So it's a testing purpose to see, one, which cast speed skill would be the best, which spell would I use for Deadeye, what makes the most sense to, play, which spell would make the most sense on an attack-based Ascendancy. There we go. So Far Shot here only works for attacks, feels bad, man, but Tailwind. Tailwind is a buff granted by Gathering Winds. So Gathering Winds here gives Tailwind, and Tailwind gives you a faster multiplier, which is to anything tagged speed, basically, with the exception of maybe prod speed. So I'll list a few things that this Tailwind will affect. Attack speed, cast speed, movement speed are the most obvious, but as well as trap and mine type gimmicks, so trap throwing speed and mine laying speed. I believe it also affects cooldown recovery speed, as well as like just general action speed. To get this Tailwind buff, all you have to use is any type of skill. So War Cries work. Just standing here and holding right click will continually stack Tailwind. Tailwind starts off as a 10% faster buff and goes up to 20% faster. As long as you continually casting, you'll get 1% each, all the way up to 20%, and that's that. So the other part of the TLDR was the Spell Echo. So Spell Echo level 30 is granted by my Pledge of Hands here, so technically I'm 6 linked. And level 30 Spell Echo versus level 20 is 10% more cast speed. We'll pull it up really quick. Spell Echo PoE. So if you look here, it is 70% more cast speed at level 20 versus 80% more cast speed at level 30. And remember, this is a more cast speed modifier, which means it's a 1.8 times multiplier to increased cast speed effects. So anytime you're picking up cast speed on the tree like I do here, it's multiplied by 1.8. Alright, so let's go take a look at this Alleyways. I'm level 71. I'll be talking about the plans for this character and everything with it. Let's go. So first things first, I don't have a Gloomfang yet. I've only done Merciless Lab, so I don't have +1 chain from Deadeye either. Gloomfang I can wear if it is corrupted. You can wear it at level 55, otherwise it's level 77. And all the good corruptions I want are for 50 chaos, and I had to buy a ring to counter that of Gloomfang. I will show off my ring when I'm done with this map. So Gloomfang allows you to get +1 chain and extra damage as chaos for each bounce of your Magma Orb, or any type of chain. +1 chain as well, so that way I can get an additional bounce on my Magma Orb. It's probably best in slot for most Magma Orb builds. It's really hard to justify not using it. However, Gloomfang does have a downside of losing life per each enemy hit. So the reason why losing life is a big deal is with this many bounces and so many monsters and with any in-game map density, I could very well kill myself. It does give leech, but with a properly crafted Shaper ring, you can counteract the downside. You can't use it with Chaos Inoculation, so that's out. So Mind Over Matter is what I think is best for Gloomfang, and that's why I went with a Mind Over Matter variant for this Deadeye. Now, Deadeye is mainly used for attack-based builds, but as you see here in this, the clear speed isn't half bad. For level 71 where I'm at this content, this is the type of map you should be farming. It's doing just fine. I have a lot of movement speed because Tailwind does multiply movement speed as well. So running the Haste Aura is pretty insane for this build because it does give increased cast speed, it does give increased movement speed. Also, Charge Dash, which I love, scales strictly off of movement speed. You don't even need that much attack speed with it, so this makes it so as a spellcaster with a staff, you could perform just fine. Alright, so we got Boss Man here. Let's see if I can properly overlap. No, not quite. So I need to find a way to get less projectile speed, so that's going to be the slower projectile gem. I have an open link here. I'm going to use slower proj because right now the increased projectile speed that I actually pick up on my tree and from my... I have to pick up this node here in order to get the chain and the additional projectile and AoE. It gives projectile speed, and then the far shot doesn't even apply to my spell because it only works for attacks. So this Ascendancy actually harms me. It helps me for clear speed, without a doubt, but it hurts me for bossing. So Solar Projectile will be my last link. My current links are Magma Orb, Fire Pen, LE Focus, Controlled Destruction, and Faster Casting. Faster Casting because it gets multiplied so heavily from the Spell Echo and Tailwind. It ends up being a really, really good gem. Let's see. So Solar Proj will be my last link. My gloves here are a Temporal Chains on hit gloves with just life and mana. I was using Asenath, and this is an obvious upgrade to Asenath. Not much better, but it does have 30 more life, mana. It has res. I lost the whoop D. It is better than Asenath, so this is what I will wear. And I plan to replace this later on, but it's perfect for this build. Just a really high life leather belt, which I plan to switch to a Stygian Vice. Let's see here. My boots are my weakest piece of gear. It's just 2 res, 30% movement speed, mild life, like decent life. No mana. Here is the ring I spent a majority of my money on. So 13 life gained on hit for each enemy hit by your spells will counter that of Gloomfang. If we look here at Gloomfang, I'm actually trying to buy pauses. She's got a +1 frenzy, and when it's corrupted, it's level 56, and when it's not corrupted, it's level 77. I'm only level 71, so I can't even wear a non-corrupted, and those are the cheap ones. All the ones with the nice stuff are more expensive. A +1 curse is 2 exalts. The only way I would ever consider +1 curse is if I were to get elemental weakness Asenaths. I would consider that. You know, 2 curses and with Gloomfang isn't too bad. Allscarm doesn't work well for this build, so that's out. So I think +1 frenzy might be better. Or +1 max res is pretty damn good too, so we can look up that one. So when it is corrupted, it becomes 56 if you change the implicit. But because of the base of this is a blue pearl amulet, it's like a really high mana regen base. So it's level 77 otherwise. Feels bad, man. So that's where I'm at with that. If you look here at Gloomfang, it also does make it so you lose life per enemy hit by your spells. So I'm losing life, which means it's like when you pop the flask and you just lose a percentage of your life. It's the same type of principle. So this counters that. I gain life from enemies hit by my spells. You need that. Get +1 chain and then extra damage per each bounce of my Magma Orb will get 20% extra damage as chaos, basically, per bounce. It's pretty real. It is just so strong. And I also get Chaos Leech, so that each bounce will deal more damage, and I will get some Chaos Leech from it. This makes it so its Series Flask is not bad to get even more Chaos Leech and Chaos damage, but I'm not sure if I will use that. Currently using Wise Oak and a Basalt Flask with 2 Life Flasks, one of which is Remove Freeze, Remove Bleed for the other one, and then just a good old Adrenaline Quicksilver, which works well for a Charge Dash, and just me moving in general with Tailwind. Pretty happy about this so far. Let's talk about my Ascendancy. So obviously we get Tailwind, which gives us 1000 flat evasion, and this guy right here is 50% increased area effect and an additional projectile, paired up with Inevitability, which is another bonus projectile, and another one here. As long as this is within 40 inch somewhere in this radius, you get the effect of this. It's fire damage, an extra projectile, and each time it bounces, I get 10% increased area effect on each bounce. So that's 20% increased area effect per each bounce, and +2 proj, and then this is +3 proj, thus giving us 4. And if you look, my AoE is pretty huge for Magma Orb. It's usually not that big. But considering I have 50 here, and then I get bonus AoE for the bounces, I have AoE here and here, it's pretty strong. Getting AoE is good because then you can overlap if you have slower proj. So that's how I would have to do that. You get 2 bounces next to each other, something like that. What else is there? I've thought about picking up Charisma in my tree, but honestly, playing a Ranger, the first thing I did was like get the hell out of Ranger, which gives me more prod speed. So I'm not even sure, like getting increased prod speed is nice for clear speed, but it's a pain in the butt for single target. This avoid stun is nice paired up with this here. So let's talk about these nodes. Rarely do I pick up things like nimbleness, but because of Tailwind, all of this cast speed gets multiplied from Tailwind. It also gets multiplied from the spell echo of Pledge of Hands, and then it gives movement speed, which is also multiplied by Tailwind. So the amount of effectiveness this wheel becomes for the Deadeye is pretty absurd. It also gives me avoid stun while casting, and considering this is also avoid stun and movement speed, which is multiplied by Tailwind, this is all really, really good wombo combo. Unfortunately, you just have a gazillion pathing points to get into the heart of the build. I had to spec into Heart of Flame because it's just so much raw damage, and considering I spent so many nodes just traveling out of here, I needed to make up for it. I think Heart of Flame is worth it in this build. By the time I got here, I was pretty starved on life, and I decided to come up here and get into all of this. Once I hit the Temple Archery, we've been pretty good on life. I'm 4k life with 1100 open mana for Mind Over Matter. I'm currently using its Series Foible, so when this comes off, it'll still be about 900. We're still pretty good there. I've thought about using Restless Ward versus this chest piece, but this is a 2200 armored chest piece, high life, not cast speed, Chaos Res and Lightning Res. It's pretty good. It was meant for my Juggernaut, my Jugulot build, but I plan on replacing it with Comb's Heart and or, I don't know, Restless Ward's okay. Thinking about that. It's got mana, life, life regen, and movement speed for frenzy charge, and then it keeps my charges on twice as long. Thought about that. This node here is also very good. It's 6% increased cast speed with 3% movement speed, 20 dex, and the accuracy is okay because I still need to proc Fortify from my charge dash. So incidental accuracy ends up being pretty good, including this one. Like, normally I wouldn't go out of my way for it, but if it's incidental in this case, sure, why not? So, these little tiny movement speed nodes, they start to add up when you have Tailwind. You know, right here and here as well. I'm also using Haste Orb, because Haste gives 15% increased cast speed and 8% movement speed. It's pretty nice. So that is what I'm using most of my mana reserve for, and I've even thought about getting Charisma because it does give me 12% reduced mana reserve and some aura effectiveness. So a little bit of aura effectiveness isn't too bad. I'm not sure if it will even affect haste. Let's see, 6% of 15.
A pragmatic is a person
sub.
with a foot
27 months?
Dark. But what if it's a paw?
What's going on, Wes?
Hey man, another month down.
Another month down indeed. Oh, I'm doing a YouTube video right now, Wes, so I appreciate that. People can see the cute little Oscar sub stuff. Speaking of, Oscar's over here. Can't really see him too well. He's sleeping in this tub. Hey, Oscar. A little bit of Oscar love for the end of the stream, or the end of the YouTubes. So let's see what level haste is. Thanks, Wes. 27 months now you've been subbed. Heck yeah. Over 2 years. I like that over 2 year one. Okay, let's see. Cast speed goes up to 16%. And I think that gives me the threshold. Nope. So Charisma doesn't even give me 1% increased cast speed. Feels bad. So close. I'm not sure if it rounds up, it might, but I thought it just chops off any decimal. So it would have to be a level 22 haste in order for me to get that. Feels bad. So Charisma's not even worth it until I get... I would have to get Sovereignty and Charisma to really make it notice on my haste. Alright, let's see here. My skill tree's... It's a little bit clunky at the beginning, but once you make it into the heart of this build, you have Heart of Flame here. I'm going to be picking up this node right here, Explosive Impact. It's more AoE, and there's cast speed. Okay, why would I not pick this up? So these are my next 3 points once I'm done clearing out this life. And, you know, leveling from 70 to 90, so I can think about 20 more points from now. Let's see. I'll go with life here. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12... 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, well that was pretty easy. And then 90 plus, we got a jewel here. We have a little bit of damage we could pick up here. There's this junky life wheel here. Mana into Jewel is pretty good. We could put Might of the Meek here, so we'll double down on the mana. So we'll just, or 1.5 times on this mana will be 12% mana, and these will be like 7.5% lives. So Might of the Meek is pretty good for that spot. Yeah, this character is coming along nicely, and hopefully next time you see her, she's got even more cast speed. That's all I really got to say. If you guys have any questions about this, this will be like my theory of the build. I'll try and show off some high-end content with her, so long as I don't die. I do play hardcore Bestiary. And if you want to see more of this content, I'll be playing her on Twitch throughout the week. Twitch is my main hustle. If I'm not on YouTube, I'm always on Twitch. If you ever have any questions, you can always find me on Twitch over YouTube. Though, this is my first YouTube video I put out in like the past week. I hope you guys are enjoying the little bit of a different idea. This character reminds me of Nazeebo. And keep in mind, this is cast speed without frenzy charges. I don't even have my Blood Rage on right now, or Onslaught, so that's another like 20% cast speed if you're not seeing increased cast speed, which is all multiplied. Feels good. Anyways, that's all I really got to say. Thanks for tuning in. I'm out.